Holy broken biscuits, Batman! We're back! We're building the Batmobile with me, your host on the Life and Times of Mulch. 3 issues, and we're starting the engine of the iconic Batmobile. So come and join me to the Batcave! Welcome back everybody to the Build the Batman series from the classic 1966 TV series. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying this build. It's obviously very early stages at the minute, but I'm enjoying it. We're up to now 6, 7 and 8. So this is pack 3 of our Build the Batmobile. Sorry, not Build Batman. That would be weird. So we're doing 6, 7 and 8 today. We're concentrating on the engine, I believe. So let's take a quick look in book number 6, and then we can go from there. So in book 6, it's season 1, episode 6, called The Joker is Wild. Obviously, we've got everything about that episode and about Alfred. Then it goes through Great Batman Comics, Batman Year by Year, more Batman Year by Year. I do love the old classic drawing style of Batman Year by Year. And then our car parts, and we're going to be doing the gearbox and oil pan to the bell housing. And obviously our instructions follow along with that. So let's take a look at what we have in pack 6. This is pack 6, stage 6. I've already opened the ends just to have a little look, so let's get everything out. So in pack 6 we have our usual friendly several bags of screws. We've got some DM screws, some DP screws, some AM screws and some CM screws. We've also got these 2 halves, and they are metal, and then we've got a few extra plastic pieces there. First pieces we need is the oil pan, and we also need this piece that looks like that. The lugs on there, they're further up the pan than they are on one side. They're not directly in the middle, if that makes sense. But this is, there's no difference to either side. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this over the top of here, like that, if you can see that. And then we're going to just screw that in with 2 DP screws. So I'll get that screwed in. So when that's screwed in, that's going to look just like that. Now we need the left side of the gearbox housing. So like I said, this is all metal, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the oil pan that we just created, and that's going to go in there. It's going to sit like that, so that hole lines up at the back. And where I said that sort of off center, it's heading toward the back, so you've got a bigger gap at the front of the oil pan than there is at the rear. And I'm just going to put a screw in there, and that's going to be a DM screw. So now that's just started on, you can see where that's screwing onto, just there. Okay, so you got your oil pan under there. Right, you'll now notice in your instructions that you need this piece that you've already created in an earlier stage. So let's go and grab that. And here it is, in case you don't remember what it was from before. That's what you need to make sure you've got. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach that to the gearbox housing, and we're going to put 1 screw in there, and that's just going to be a DM screw, just in that hole just there. So before I tighten that up completely, you can see now where that screw's going to go. So nice and tight, that should look like that. Then we need to take this piece You can see what that looks like. And we need to put that on the end of our gearbox housing. So it's just going to sit in the end like that. We're going to get the right hand side of the gearbox housing and close that all over. So keeping that piece there, if we can, we're going to put this bit over the top. We put the right housing on there and we're just going to connect that up there and there with CM screws. Okay, so a CM screw in there and a CM screw in there, and that's all together. And then the last thing we have to do, just turn it upside down using this little piece that looks exactly the same both sides. All we're going to do, where the two holes are, we're going to place that over the top of there and secure that in with some AM screws. Your two screws, if I can focus, just on there. And that's everything in that stage. This takes us on to stage 7. Let's have a quick look through the magazine. Season 1, episode 7, Instant Freeze. Look at Mr. Freeze there, very different to Mr. Freeze's in future Batman films. So more about the episode. We've got the Bat computer, very iconic. And then we got the Great Batman Comics section, and then Batman Year by Year, going through all of that. And get into our car parts, which this side we're going to be working on the right side of the engine, including the assembly of the distributor. And these are all our parts for stage 7. I've got some screws, we've got some TP screws and some MA screws. So lots of different screws here. We've also got these, which are on a sprue, which obviously we're going to have to cut off at some point. Okay, first thing we're going to do, these very small parts here, they're both labelled R, and they've got 2 holes in the top. One of them's got a lug on there, and we're going to put that together. So it looks like that. And then we're just going to put an AM screw in there to hold that all together. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Oh, they're not MA screws, they are AM screws. I do apologise. It's been a long few weeks, people. Bear with. So that's all screwed together, just one screw in there. And that looks like that. Okay, next we're going to take this big bit of metal, the engine block, and where this hole is here, we're just going to place what we've just put together in there. So it sits like that. And then we're going to secure it in the back with an AM screw. And that's going to look just like that. Now, them pieces on this sprue that I said about, we've got the distributor cap. So we need to place all of these. We've got 10 there. And they go on the ends of there. If we could just have a look at the magazine, if you're not sure what I'm saying there. So we're putting, oh no, first we're going to put the center piece on, so apologies. So ignore that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the center into the distributor cap, and that just pushes in the middle. Okay, so that pushes in the middle, so you've got a center pin there. Okay, now we can cut all these off the sprue and get them on. They do actually push on there quite securely, so once they're all fixed on, that should look like that. Next you need this little silver piece here. It's got a couple of pins on it, and on the cap that we've just, there's a little D-shape hole. There's also a D shape on the silver, and that's just going to push in. Okay, so that just pushes in, and that's going to look like that. Then we'll bring over this block that we started earlier, and we've got this last little silver piece here, and on the end there's a little key pattern, and if you look on the back here, there's a corresponding key pattern on that hole. So we just match it up and then screw it in from the other side with a TP screw. Okay, that wasn't the easiest thing to get in there, but it should look something like that, hopefully. Then on the top of that piece you just put in, there's a little D shape, which corresponds to D shape on the bottom of there. And that's just going to push in. And that's going to go on the top like that. It's just a push in. And that's everything on that stage. So the last stage, stage 8. Season 1, episode 8. Rats like cheese. Mr. Freeze again. He's laughing more than the Joker. There's a little bit about Mr. Freeze there as well. And you got Great Batman Comics, and then Batman Year by Year. All Batman Year by Year. Joker there. And your car parts. And in this one we're doing, put together the oil pan as well as the generator for the engine of your model. And these are those parts for stage 8. So quite a few parts there. Let's get it open. Some screws. We've got some AP screws. And we've got some TP screws as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and this larger piece, and they're quite simply just going to see where they match up. They're going to push in together like that, and they're going to be held together there and there by 2 AP screws. Okay, that's going to go together like that. Next we've got this very tiny small plaque piece here, and it comes with a little hose, and we need to just attach them. So let's put the hose on the end of that. It fits on nice and tight. There you go. On the bit we did previously, there's a little piece just sticking up there, and on this piece that we've just created there's a hole that just needs to go on there. That just pushed on. In fact, there was a nice little click when that went on. That looks like that. Then we have this huge bit here, and this is going to go over the top of that section we just created, and it's going to sit so it looks like that, and that's going to be fixed in with another 2 AP screws, one there and one there. So that's what all of that should look like. Now we need this piece and this piece. And that's quite simply just going to sit over the top of there like that. Then we've got these 2 very small pieces. One has got a slightly thicker bottom to this one, and we're going to put the one with a thicker bottom on first over the top of there, and then that one is going to go over the top of it all like that. So it's going to look like that. And once you've got that all together, just put a TP screw in the end to hold that all in place. So when it's all together, that should look like that. Now on the piece we just created, turn it over and take this long piece, and that's going to go over the end of there, and it's going to go, looking at the picture, that sort of angle, and then in the middle right down there we need to put another TP screw. Okay, it's not very clear in the book, but it looks like this little nodule sticking out goes slightly at an angle to the front piece, so it should look something like that. And in there we're just going to put a cap piece which looks like that. That's just going to cap off the end. That's just going to push in. It's going to look like that. And then lastly, this piece that we created is going to go on the engine block. There's another little keyhole pattern there and a keyhole pattern on the bottom of that. You can see that. That's just going to push in there, and that's going to hold in place with a TP screw. Okay, and that goes on there. I'd like to say that was easy, but it wasn't. And that just screws in from the back there. Just be careful you don't tighten it too much. I think I might have over tightened mine a little bit, so just be careful. So that's how that all should look. There is a little piece here, a little bracket. Going to need to keep that safe because we don't actually use that in this stage, so keep that safe. And that's everything done in pack 3. And we're done. We landed at the bottom of the poles. We saved Gotham City, and we managed to get back just in time to complete stages 6, 7, and 8. Was it 6, 7, and 8? It was 6, 7, and 8. Anyway, we have started on engine parts and bits and pieces. Like I said in the video, I had a bit of problem with this, keep popping off, so I just put a little bit of glue on there to hold that in. So we created all this. We also started to create the engine block, putting all these extra pieces on, some of which were so tricky to get on, to hold them and to screw them and to get them in the right place. I don't mind telling you, I nearly lost my... Moving on. And we also made this little pan here. I think it's an oil pan or some sort of pan. Another little wire there. It all went together reasonably easy. The trickiest bits were the bits on this engine block. Everything else was pretty straightforward. It's okay. To be fair, I'm not a massive fan of making the engines in cars because how often are you going to see it? I'm excited about building the shell and the wheels and everything else, but it has to be done. So saying that, these are the bits we created. There was a tiny bit, I put it back in the box as a little bracket, keep it somewhere safe because you will need it, you just don't need it yet. So there you go. The 1966 Batmobile is slowly taking shape. The next 3 issues. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time on The Life and Times of Mulch when we build more of the iconic 1966 Batmobile. Got to speak to Alfred. He's moaning. He wants a different coloured phone.